Hello all, welcome to part 33 of API testing training series. In this session, I'm going to show you how to create or write API test cases for API testing purpose. So let's get started. So the test cases that we generally create or write while performing the for performing the API testing. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate. So the API test cases based on the request URL will explore first. After that, status code and request party related API test case will explore. Okay, I'll give a practical demonstration, guys. Okay, how to use this, API test cases for testing and all. So first, let's go with the request URL. First, in the request URL, we generally see a protocol, guys. Okay, the protocol may be like HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, the protocol in the API request may be in the form of HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, any of these things. So let me show you practically. For that, I'll open the Postman tool. Let me open this Postman tool. So once the Postman tool is opened, I'll show you how to use the protocols and test. Okay. Okay, the Postman tool has opened. I'll expand this collection. So here, let's test one API, guys. Okay, this list users API. Let's test list users API. Let's test, and I'll give a proper URL, guys, instead of giving this environment. What is that called? The global variable. Instead of giving this global variable, I'll give a proper URL here. So I'll go to the request.in, and in this first get request, this users one, I'll copy this URL and paste this in the API. Just for test cases purpose, I am doing this. Fine. This is the URL, guys. I'll save this. So here you see this API request URL contains a protocol known as HTTPS. Okay, if I click on send using HTTPS protocol here, I'm getting a 200 OK response and I'm getting a proper response. Okay, you see page two records. The users who are in the page two, okay, the users who are there in the page two, 6 users who are there in the page two got displayed here. That's fine. That's great. Now I got a doubt whether this particular API request supports HTTP protocol or not. Okay, we tried with HTTPS secured protocol, but does this particular API request support the HTTP protocol? I'll remove the S. Let me remove the S from here and try this again. Let's see whether the application is supporting API request is supporting that or not. If you are getting a proper status code and response, similar response, you see it's still working, guys. Okay, so that means this particular API request supports both HTTP and HTTPS protocols. Okay, so this is one thing, guys. Okay, we have to check whether these two are, if this API request has to support these protocols, whether it is supporting or not. These are the two test cases. So whatever I'm demonstrating here are the test cases, guys. Okay, testing using HTTP protocol, whether it is working fine or not. API request working with HTTPS protocol is working fine or not by altering the protocols and seeing whether that is working or not. Here we got already two test cases. Now let's work on the server address, guys. Okay, whatever that is followed by the protocol is the server address. In the server address, okay, for example, this is the server address. Request.in is the server address. This part is the server address. So in this server address, first I will change the top level domain. Okay, that is IN. We'll change the top level domain. Okay, that is IN. Okay, so here by default it is IN. What if I try a different domain, different top level domain like QA? Okay, with IN we got the results, but what if I change this to QA.QA and click on send button? Does it support? You see, could not send the request. We didn't get the response from the server. Request is not sent. Okay, could not send the request. As this request.qa doesn't exist. The server address doesn't exist, guys. That's why we didn't get any response, because there is no server exists. Okay, request is not sent to a particular server which doesn't exist, hence we didn't get the response. So this is another test case. So this is the actual one. If you give the actual one, it will work. But if you give which server top level domain, if you change the top level domain to some other top level domain from .in to .com or .qa, whatever it is, if you modify that, okay, server address is not correct. Incorrect server address is being provided, hence could not send the request and we didn't get the response. This is working fine. Okay, with the dot in only it should work. Other than dot in, it should not work. Okay, these are the test cases. Now again I will change back to dot in. Okay, let's change back to dot in only because it will work with dot in only. Okay, click on send. Okay, these are all the test cases we have to test, guys. Okay, so you have to modify all these things in the server address and check. Change server address name, guys. Okay, so actual server address name is request, reqres. Okay, that is the actual one. That is the actual one. It is working. If I give the actual one reqres, click on send, it will work. You'll get the proper status code and response. That's fine. But what if I provide a wrong server address name? Server address name instead of request, I'll say retest.in. Okay, modified or wrong or incorrect server address. Same result we should get. We should not be able to send the request because the server address doesn't exist. The server itself doesn't exist. We'll not get any response. So let me change it and do retest. retest. Okay. This looks silly, but we have to test, guys. Okay. Instead of giving a proper server address, I'm giving a wrong server address and checking what's happening. Whether this API request is behaving properly or not. It will say that could not send the request and we will not get any response. Could not send the request and will not get any response. That's what is expected. Done. So we tried the test cases related to the protocol. We tried the test cases related to the server address by changing the top level domain in the server address and server address name in the server address. Now let's move on to the query parameters. Okay, let's move on to the query parameters. So before that, I'll change it back to request reqres dot in. Okay, it will work fine now. Now I'll work with the query parameters. What are the query parameters? As I already explained, this after question mark. After this question mark, whatever that is coming, right? That is here only one query parameter is there. Postman tool has a facility where whatever that comes after the question mark, right? It will display under the params. Okay, these are the query parameters. You see page, the value 2. Key is a page and values 2. Whatever that is coming after the question mark is there here. Okay, let's create the test cases around this query parameter. Generally, query parameters are used along with API request to perform additional filtering. Okay, here if I don't give page 2, guys, all the list of users will be displayed. But our this API request, what it is doing in the page 2, whatever the user records are there, the 6 user records which are there in the page 2 are getting displayed. Okay, if I give page 1 and click on send, the records, 6 user records which are there in the page 1 got displayed. If I give page 2, the 6 user records which are there in the page 2 got displayed. Okay, total 12 records are there. Total 12 records there, which are divided across 2 pages. In first page, 6 records, second page, 6 records. Okay, you see with this query parameter, we are able to filter the stuff, right? We are getting only the users from the page 2. That's what we are doing. That's what is one of the query parameter example. Okay, that is one of the example of a query parameter. Query parameters are followed by question mark in API request URLs. Okay, like this as shown in the example, question mark page 2. After question mark, whatever that is coming is a query parameter here. And multiple query parameters are possible, guys. In API request, multiple query parameters are possible. We have to append that after question mark, whatever the query parameter is there. After that, if you have one more query parameter, you have to append that with ampersand symbol. So like for example, if I have to create more query parameters here, okay, and these are dummy query parameters, what I'm trying, ampersand I would say, and give the query parameter like model. Okay, model is equal to something, guys. Okay, I'm just randomly typing something, VDI. You see here under the param section of the postman tool, okay, you see model VDI came, and again ampersand symbol. What is the next one? Company is equal to Swift. Okay, company is equal to Swift, like this. Now it has 3 query parameters. Now it has 3 query parameters. Either I can uncheck them here so that they will be removed from here. Okay, or I can select them again, they will come back, or I can delete from here also. Okay, these are dummy parameters just to show you. For now, page is equal to is enough. Okay, this is a valid one, valid query parameter. Postman shows these query parameters in URL under param section. Okay, so here under param section, whatever the query parameters are there in the API request URL, they are being shown. That's what I am mentioning there. Test by modifying the value of the query parameters. Okay, when the query parameters are fine, it's all good. But let's create some test cases using which let's see how the things are changing. For example, here only one query parameter is there. Page is equal to. If I click on send, it is working fine. I'm getting 200 OK status code, and also I'm getting a proper response. But now I'll test this query parameter. I'll alter this query parameter and try different combination to see how this API request is performing. Okay. So one of the tests is, instead of giving 2, I'll append some zeros here, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2. Okay. So whether it should work or not, this all these zeros which are coming before 2 should be trimmed. Okay. The developer should be writing the code in such a way that the developer who is creating this API request and giving to us software testers for testing purpose, okay, in advance, whatever the zeros which comes before these 2 should be trimmed. They should be removed. Okay. It should, the API request should still work for 2 guys. Okay. The zeros should not be considered. Click on send. You see 200. Okay. And we got the response. Okay. Let me close this one and open once. What is this option coming here? Okay. There is some disturbance option. Let me close and open the Postman tool, guys. Okay. Sometimes. Let me open the Postman tool. Yeah. Now it's fine. That option, whatever that was coming after restarting the Postman tool, it has been gone. And you have seen that just by putting extra zeros before this number, it doesn't make any sense. So it is trimming. Okay. The developer is very clever. That developer who has created this API request is very clever that in advance the developer has written the code for trimming these zeros which are coming after this before this number, and still the API request is working fine. So this is one test case. So all the zeros coming before the number should be trimmed. If not trimmed, we have to report a defect, guys. Okay. Now what if I place characters in place of 2? Instead of giving 2, I'll give ABCD. Okay. Does it work? If I give ABCD, does it work? It should not work, right? For 1 or 2, it will work, but for alphabets, how can it work? Okay, it will not work. 200 okay is coming. So instead of working, what it is doing is it's giving the default page. Okay, the first record, first page records it's giving. Okay, since it's unable to figure out what is ABCD, the developer has displayed the records from the page 1. Okay, so fine. It may or may not be a defect, guys. It may or may not be a defect. You can check with your developer and see, and just tell him or her that ABCD if I provide, I'm getting this fine or not. Okay, I'm giving invalid page number. This is not a number, right? It's an alphabet, and they are displaying. If they are intentionally displaying, that's fine. Okay, if they if according to them it's okay, it's fine, guys. Okay, you don't have to report a defect. But if they say that okay, let's not allow this kind of stuff. Okay, if they are giving a default action like giving the page 1 records. Okay, when you give alphabets or when you give some symbols instead of alphabets or something, if I give some symbols, okay, instead of 2, if I'm giving some symbols here, click on send, and still the same default action is being taken. This may be a correct approach or may not be a correct approach, guys. This, you see here, you have to have a discussion with your developers and other people, architect or top level people, to see whether this should be allowed or not. Okay, so in most of the cases, right, this will be ignored, and anyhow default record is coming, default page 1 is coming, whatever it is. Okay, so space before number. What if I give space before number, space 2 instead of 2? Okay, so here if you give 2, it will work fine. The page 2 records will come, page 2 records are coming. But what if I give a space before this and click on send button? What's happening? Let's see. It's still working. Okay, they are trimming the space. That's okay. Okay, it's working fine. Space should be trimmed. So what if I give 2.2 instead of 2? Okay, these are the different varieties of test cases we have to try. Okay, with this query parameters. Instead of giving 2, I'm giving 2.2. What will happen? Floating point number I am giving. Okay, a decimal number I am giving. So will it work or not? Click on send. It will work. Okay, if it works, that means developer is not considering whatever that is coming after the dot. Okay, after the from the decimal point, it's being trimmed. Okay, before the decimal point, what is that is being considered? Okay, that's fine. It's working fine. Then alphanumeric, if you give alphanumeric, okay, 2 ABC instead of 2, what will happen? Let's see. Okay, here I'll give 2 ABC. Whether it will work or not, we can check. 2 ABC. It's working, guys. Surprisingly, it's working because once 2 is taken, they are not considering the remaining portion. Okay, once 2 is page 2 is considered, after 2, whatever the text that is coming, they are ignoring. The developer is has written the code in such a way that the after the number, whatever the text is there, that will be ignored. Okay, what if we give hashtag to hashtag? Okay, let's give. Okay, this is another thing. Hashtag to hashtag. Hashtag to hashtag. Okay, click on send button. You see page 1 record is coming because hashtag is a symbol. So it's 2 is in between. So default action is being taken. That's okay. One more test case which we have. Okay, what if we don't give any value. Don't give any value. Okay. So the query parameter, don't give any value and see what's happening. Okay. If you don't give anything and click on send button. Okay. This is another test case. You can edit any number of test cases. Okay. So while I'm explaining you, I got one more test case. Okay. So default record is coming. That's okay. Default record is coming. Don't give any value. Next, if you give two double forward slash, okay, two double forward slash, two double forward slash, whatever that is coming after the two should be ignored. Okay. If the developer has written this thing correctly, you see it's working fine. Page two records are coming. That's fine. What is double backward slash? If I give, click on send button, still it should work. Okay, it's still working. What if I give some other thing like double forward slash two? In between two is there and symbols are there in between and after. Okay, so what if that will happen? Let's see. Double forward slash two double forward slash, click on send button. You see default action is being taken. That's all. That's we already know. Okay. So about this one, users 23 instead of users 2. Okay, this is a different API request, guys. Okay, let's go to the single user API request, and here 2 is there. If I click on send button, the record is coming. Okay, second user. Okay, the user having the ID as 2 is coming. What if I give something like 23 here? Okay, if I give 23 here, the user having the ID 23, does it exist or not? We don't know. Okay, let's see. 404 not found. User doesn't exist, guys. Empty response is coming. Okay, what if I give 1 here? User 1. User 1 will come. Okay, user 1 will come. What if I give user 2? Two pages, 12 users, right? 2 6 are 12. Okay, maybe 12 also should come. But if I give 13 here, 13th user ID is not there. From 13 onwards, you'll not get any users. Okay, so like that you can test. Like that you can test, guys. Okay, non-existing user you can test, existing user you can test, and you can test the boundary values. You can test the boundary values like 12 should work, 11 should work. Okay, you can give 11 and see whether 11th record is coming or not, 12th record is coming or not. Okay, 13th record already we checked. What if I give 0 here? What will happen? Let's see. No, boundary values we have to check, guys. Okay, boundary values we have to check. That's fine. So lot of ideas. Okay, lot of ideas you will get while testing this query parameters like this. So what if I give some invalid query parameter name itself? Okay, not value. Okay, I'll give a proper value. Let's say I'll give a proper value like 2 here. Okay, I'll give a query parameter like value 2 here. But key key query parameter I'll change. Okay, name of the query parameter I'll change a bit. Okay, let's see what will happen. Okay, that's another invalid query parameter name I'll give. Should get an error, guys. Okay. Okay. If you don't get an error, it's if not, it is a defect. Okay, you should get the error. Otherwise, it's a defect, guys. Okay. So what I will do here is instead of page, I'll give test. Okay. The name of the query parameter I'm changing to test and clicking on send. You see, default action is being taken. That's okay. If error is not coming, since error is not coming, when I give an invalid query parameter, error should come, but it's not coming. So it's a defect, guys. Okay. So we can report a defect here. When I give test instead of page, I'm getting default record. So you can check once with the developer and then report a defect. Okay. What if I give double quotes, page in double quotes instead of normal page? Okay. Page is the actual one. But what I will do is I'll give in double quotes, guys. Okay. Let's see what will happen, whether it will consider or not. Let's click on send. Again, the default action is being taken. So here, proper way, the query parameter should be given. Okay. So, and if query parameters are given wrong and if you are getting some results, means you may report a defect, but you can check with your architect and the developers to confirm that before reporting the defects. Okay. So these are a few test cases, guys. Okay, by altering the protocols, by altering the server address, by altering the query parameters in the API request, now we can also play with the endpoint. Okay. Now we can play with the endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but from here to here is the endpoint, right? Let's play with this endpoint. Okay, this section of the endpoint. Okay, this is a common part. This is a common part, and remaining part is the endpoint. Okay, let's play with this endpoint. You see, if you go to request.in also, they are not providing the entire API request URL. They are only providing the endpoint. Okay, tail URL or endpoint, whatever you call in terminology. We'll play with the endpoint. So how to create test cases based on the endpoint? So here, instead of API, I'll give test. So here, instead of API, in the endpoint, I'll give test, guys. Okay. So if I click on send, 404 not found. Okay, 404 not found came. So that is valid, I guess, right? Error should come. Error came. 404 not found, error came. and you see some error page is being displayed here. Okay, error page is being displayed here. That's okay. Fine. So this is fine. This is expected. Second is what? Instead of lowercase API, if I give capital case API, should it work or not? It should work. Okay, the developer should be smart developing the API request in such a way that it should not be case sensitive. Okay, some people may in a hurry they may give, instead of typing API in lowercase, they may type capital API. Okay, lowercase API they'll type capital API. Okay, so if I click on send button here, it should work. It should work. If it is working, then fine. Okay. So use 200, okay, and it is working. It's giving all the 6 user records in the page 2. Okay, next. What is the next one? Next one is, what is the next test case? Let's see. I'll give a space before API. Okay, a lot of ideas you can generate, guys. Okay, don't just follow my list blindly. This is a maximum list I can think in my view, in my perception, or in my whatever while testing. If you get more ideas, you can add to this list. Okay, whatever the list is, a list. Don't think that it is a complete list. Okay, you may get even more ideas, better ideas of testing. You see, testing, everyone tests in a different way. Everyone gets a different ideas. So what I got an idea, like what if I add a space, what will happen? Okay, so here I'll just give normal API, and but I'll add a space here. If I give a space, should it work or not? I don't think it should work. Okay, for not found. Okay, space cannot be considered here. Okay, that will break the API request. Okay, so error should come, but not a valid test case. Okay, the API request will not contain any spaces. Okay, if spaces are there, means 404 will definitely come, but just as part of a small check you can do it. Okay, again if I give a normal API, it will come, it will get the proper result. Okay, this is how we can play with the endpoint. Now the next one is status code. You see, guys, whenever you are testing something, testing something, the developer has provided a documentation to you. Okay, coming to the status code, I am talking strictly. Okay, developer has provided a documentation to you regarding this, how the API request should be triggered, what response should come, what status code should come. Okay, as per the documentation given by the developer is our requirement kind of thing, and the API should work as per the documentation given by the developers. If there is if there is any deviation, okay, if there is any deviation from the documentation, okay, if the developer is saying for this API request, if you give this API query parameter and whatever it is, click on the send button, this get method and API request, and click on send button. The developer is saying in the API documentation saying that 200 okay should come with this response, same response and 200 okay should come. If another status code is coming, you have to report a defect. This is how we have to follow, guys. Okay, if developer states that 200 should come, means 200 should come. Okay, for example, I'll give you one example here. For example, here if I go here, this is the one, post create. Okay, let's assume that this is the documentation given by the developer for testers for testing. So when I select post create, okay, so this will be the request body that you'll be sending, and you should get which response, which status code should come, 201. But if 200 is coming, then that is a error defect. You have to report a defect as per the documentation given by developer. 201 is expected status code, but if 200 is coming in the while you are testing this API request, then you can report a defect. Okay, so what I will do here is I'll copy this, and I think it is already there, create user, or I'll just paste it again. Okay, so when I it is a post request, as per the documentation, it is a post request. As you can see here, it is a post create. Okay, and we have to send this request in the request body. How to send? Click on the body, select raw, already it is there because I saved it earlier, and just paste the request body and click on send button. Which status code should come? 201. 201 created should come. 201 created should come with this you see ID kind of thing should come, status code. Okay, so is it coming? Yeah, with ID, a new ID, and okay, this it is coming. That's fine. So it's working fine. If you get, instead of 201, if you get 200 here, then you can report a defect. Okay, because we are violating the documentation. Okay, documentation is getting violated. Whatever the developer given documentation, accordingly the API request should perform. Okay, give the proper status code and response as per the given documentation. Okay, what if If you take this example, post restart successful, here 200 response is expected, not 201. 200 is expected. If 201 comes, then you can report a defect. Okay, 201 comes, you can report a defect. Copy this. I'll create one more API request, add request. It's a post request, guys. Change it to post. Change it to post and give the URL here. This is edit the name. Register. Okay, register successful or something. Just give the proper name there. And here also, you have to give a body, guys. Let's give the body. Select raw and select JSON here and give the body here because here body is expected. You go back here. There is a body here that we have to send. Request body. Okay. So now anything else is left. The moment I click on send button, which response should come? 200 and this thing should come. Let's see. Yes, 200 OK is coming and ID and token are only coming. So which is working as expected as per the documentation. So this is how we have to test the status codes. Okay. So if 201 should be coming, 201 only should come. If other status code comes, we can report the defect. If 200 has to come, 200 only should come. 200 OK should come. Okay. If another status code comes, we can report the defect. Okay. That's how we can test the status codes of the APIs. For every API, this much of testing we have to do, guys. Okay. Only one API was uh, especially one API we are surrounding and this many tests are coming, like more than 20 tests, more than 25 tests we are getting already, right? More than 25 tests we are getting already, guys. Okay. So just imagine if you have 100 APIs, 250 tests you have to do. Okay. So like that. Okay. If you have 1000 APIs, lot of tests for each and every API. Okay. There's no limit. So API testing for each and every API request, we have to do a lot of. You see, every application will have thousands of APIs. We have to test them very patiently and see whether each and every API is working perfectly fine or not. Okay, so this is how the API test cases can be created and can be tested. So we can even alter the request body. You see, a new thing came into picture while I'm explaining about this post create or post research successful. There was a request body. Okay, let's go to the API register example. So this is API register example here. We are giving email and password. Okay. So we can play with the request body here. We can play with the request body and see what's happening here. Okay. A lot of test cases will come. Changing password to test. What I'm going to do here is here instead of giving the field as password, I'm giving it as test. But password is a mandatory field most probably. If I click on send, you see 404 400 bad request is coming. Error missing password is saying. Okay, your password is compulsory. You have to give password. Otherwise, password field is missing. It's giving a proper error. If not giving a proper error and if you are not getting 400 bad requests, then you can report a defect. Okay, 400 bad requests and proper error message should come. Giving random password value. Okay, instead of giving this one, if I give test here, okay, and click on send button, let's see what will happen. Still, it is working fine because it is a registration, right? Register. You can give any password you want. Okay, you can give any password. What if I give no password? Password is missing should come. If it is not coming, okay, here there should be some password. Okay, it should be some password, guys. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 or test or whatever the password should be there. Then only it will be accepted. If you give blank password, okay, it should not be accepted. Okay, that's what is the thing. Next, let's try few more test cases. Okay, giving random password value. Any password will be accepted and if you don't provide this test idea I got just while testing it. You don't provide password. Okay, 400 bad request should come. Missing password should come. Missing password message should come. Okay, so like this you can create your test cases, guys. Okay, so these are the test cases you have to create and while testing the APIs you can follow these test cases. Okay, you can actually document this. I'm using mind map here because I generally follow mind map, but in your company if mind map tool, this kind of tool is not allowed, you can create this test case in Excel sheet. Okay, Excel sheet and create the like the way we manually create test cases for the general UI of the software, testing of the software. Similarly, you can create the test cases Excel test case document, or if your company is using any test management tool, okay, you can use that also and create different type of test cases for testing the particular API. But using a mind map will give you more clarity, guys. Okay, so after creating the mind map, you can convert that into the test case either in the test management tool on the Excel sheet. Okay, whatever it may be. Email instead of email. What if I give capital email instead of email? Okay, so let's see what will happen here. Lowercase email is there, but here I'm giving capital email. So whether it will work or not, let's see. Click on send 400 bad request. Missing email or username. Either email should be or username should be, but email should not be there. You see here we got a hint that lowercase email should be there or lowercase username are also supported. That means we can increase our test. Okay, lowercase email it will work, or we can give username also. It's saying it is working fine. The next test case is username instead of email. Okay, because we got a hint, right, when we gave captain email in the message we got okay, missing email or username like this we got. That means it's giving a hint that you can also use username. Okay, let's use the username now. Let's use a username in place of the email, and it should work. Click on send. Yeah, 200. Okay, and we got the okay user registered. That's fine. Without password, guys. Okay, without password. I'll not give any password. I'll just remove this password and click on send button. Miss. So 400 bad request and error is coming. Bad request error is coming. Okay, bad request error is coming. That's fine. It is a mandatory feed, guys. Without a password, or here also we have not provided password in different way. Here we removed the both key and value, and we got 400 bad request. Okay, different ways we can test. Now again let's go back to the password. Let's have the password, guys. Okay, so let's put the password. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this email address, this part TLS. Okay, top level domain or whatever you can say, server address of the email. Okay, here eve.halt.at@request.in is there. What if I change that to .com? Instead of .in, I change to .com, where .com may not be supported. We don't know. Okay, click on send. You see 400 bad requests. Only defined user succeed registration. That means only the users who are coming with this email address having the ending with .in are getting coming. Okay, click on send. Fine. That's it. 400. Otherwise, 400 bad requests is coming. Mandatory and non-mandatory, guys. You see here in this case of register, post register, this is a post success register successful API call. Fields are mandatory. Both the fields are mandatory. Either if you don't provide the username, missing email or username will come. If you don't give the password, okay, bad request or something is coming. If you don't give the comma here, bad request is coming. You see everything matters here. Okay, these two fields are mandatory, guys. Indirectly these two fields are mandatory. Okay, all the mandatory fields should be there. If not, we'll get the 400 bad request errors or whatever it is. Okay, or that's what happening, right? If you don't give the password here or username here, we are getting the 400 bad request. Then if you come here in this post create, but in case of post create, guys, okay, the another API that we are talking about here, create. uh, Here job is not compulsory. Okay, job is not compulsory. Cut this job and click on send button. Still it is going to work. You see, job is not compulsory. It is an optional thing, guys. Okay, if you want to give the job, it's an optional field. Okay, so here a unique ID is getting generated every time. Okay, so that's another thing. I'll talk about that anyhow. So job not mandatory field, but in case of post research successful, both email and password both are mandatory. Okay, so we have to test the mandatory and non-mandatory fields and see for all the mandatory fields whether we are getting proper error messages or not. Those are the test cases. And finally, unique email or not. For example, in this case, if I go here, I'm already giving this ev.halt@request.in. Click on send button. ID4 token is coming. Again, I click on send button with the same email address. Again, ID4 token 4 is coming. Okay. So that's what is the problem, guys. That's what is the problem. Okay. Every time, if you give the same name here, a different ID is being generated here. Okay. With the help of ID, it's making unique, but in real time, this will not happen. In real time applications, guys. Okay. If you're creating more users with the same name and job, okay, that's not a good idea, right? The database will contain a lot of duplicate data. Okay, so developers, what they will do is they'll give proper error messages. But in this case of request.in, since it is not a realistic API, okay, it's not a realistic real-time API. Okay, it looks like realistic, but it's not 100% realistic. But when you work in real application, guys, the duplicate data generally is not allowed. Okay, if you're trying to create an account with the same email address, if email address is something that need to be unique, then you should get an error saying the duplicate email address. Okay, in real time. Okay, so it all depends on the documentation again. Okay, so since we are not using a realistic application, I cannot comment much about this. Okay, in real application, unique email address should be validated. Okay, uh, every time it's creating a new ID, not accepted 200. Okay, with duplicate message will appear in the real application. Okay, in real applications, if you are giving a duplicate email address and trying to create a duplicate account, you'll get 200 okay status only. Okay, 200 okay, sorry, this is 200 okay guys, 200 okay status message will come, but you'll get a error message saying duplicate message, okay, duplicate user or kind of message you should get. So like that, you can create a lot of test cases, guys. These are the sample of the test cases. I tried my level best in creating. You can use this as a checklist, and on top of this, if you come across any ideas as per your specific API request you are testing, that will be great. Okay, that will be great. Apart from these test cases, you can try more test cases. Okay, that's how the things should work. So hope you understood how to create the API test cases for testing the respective APIs. In real time, we'll be having thousands of APIs in complex applications, and each and every test case should be tested in a detailed manner with the different varieties of test cases. Okay, different variations of test cases. That's how the API testing is done with the help of test cases. That's how we can create the test case for the for performing the API testing. So that's all for this session. The next session, I'm going to cover another topic on API testing for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.